I took my undergrad study in Taiwan. That was my first trip abroad. The most shocking culture gap was the taste. In my video about Gudeg Jogja, I already mentioned that Jogja taste is very sweet and Jakarta taste is rather salty. Anyway, there are still some tastes we can enjoy, but used to be with strong taste, Taiwanese taste was barely tasteless for me, and all Indonesian students more or less experienced it. So I wrote a letter to my family at home saying that eating is an obligation here. As a tradition among Indonesian students in my university, they gathered to introduce the newcomers to a local diner by an Indonesian. They said that the taste was very Indonesian, Medan style, and we, as newcomers, would like it for sure. But it still very disappointed me. By the way, Medan is the capital of the North Sumatra province, Indonesia. Just before the end of my first semester, a friend from Medan told me that he needed to go back to Indonesia. His father was assigned permanently by the company to move from Medan to my hometown, Semarang, the capital of the Central Java province, Indonesia. So his family all had to proceed the migration administration. From Taiwan, he went back to Medan and would come back to Taiwan again from Semarang. So he very nicely offered me if I would like him to bring something from Semarang. At the gathering of the start of the semester, he saw me and complained, "Why isn't there delicious food in Semarang?" What? I was really shocked. Logically, it was impossible for a big city without any good food. How would the life of the people then? He insisted me to mention one, just one. So I said, Gudeg. But he shouted, "Gudeg? That's very sweet food." Just as being struck by lightning, I suddenly realized that we were talking in different quote-unquote language. Even though we both communicated in Indonesian, the word delicious meant differently to him from to me. I never went to Medan at that time, but I heard that Medan taste was salty. To maintain blood pressure, my family intentionally put less salt in our meals. And now I understood why many Indonesian students, except I for sure, like the Medan diner. In my first summer holiday, a Semarang friend asked me and some others from Semarang to accompany her mother when around Taipei, the capital of Taiwan. His mother just arrived in Taiwan to visit him. At the end of our lunch, still on the table, she suddenly said that she was so happy and relieved looking us enjoying our meals. I immediately looked at her dish and it was almost untouched. She was not used to the taste. We then explained to her that actually we also felt that the meal was tasteless too, but we already used to push our meals in regardless we enjoying it or not. She shook her head with putting her thumb up. On the first going back home holiday, a lot of friends came to see me. On the first evening, some friends would like to treat me dinner. Coincidentally, there was a very new set-up hawker center just in walking distance from my home. Right at the middle, there were two noodle stalls next to each other, and we reached an acclamation to eat noodles. However, when we would enter the stall, friends from Sumatra went into Sumatra-style noodle stall, and friends from the Central Java province went into Jakarta-style noodle stall. So we stepped back to outside to decide which one we would go in. The Central Java province friends argued that putting bean sprouts into noodle tasted terrible, but the Sumatra friends said that noodle without bean sprouts would be tasteless, and fierce arguments started. A university post office lady loved to make friends with foreign students. Coming back from a vacation in Japan, she invited me and another Indonesian student to her home as she would cook authentic Japanese foods that she just brought back. She was very proud with those very expensive delicacies. She thought we were too shy to eat, so she kept encouraging us to eat more. Actually, we just couldn't eat as they were very much too fishy, yet tasteless for us. My father attended my commencement. Finally, he told me that so far he did not understand my meal of eating is an obligation here, but he did not put it in mind, so he never asked me for any clarification. Now he experienced it. After I got my master's degree and went back to Semarang, I had an imported guru from Taiwan. To express our appreciation, the pupils invited him to a very famous and crowded grilled seafood restaurant. When the dishes came, he right away shouted, "To pity, so pity." We were all stunned and asked what he meant. He explained that cooked with such a lot of spices, the seafood lost its original seafood taste. We would just taste the seasoning only. He then invited us to come to his place the next day to try his cooking, and he would also show the authentic seafood taste. In his place, he told us that in order to preserve the original seafood taste, he added only slightly salt and pepper. None of my friends could eat such fishy fish. A best friend of mine worked as a translator as well as a personal assistant to the president of a Japanese company. So he followed wherever the president went. One noon, the president had a lunch meeting with other Japanese at an authentic Japanese restaurant. When entering the restaurant, my friend refused to follow the president in. The president wondered and asked my friend why refusing eating such expensive delicacies. My friend explained that he could not eat Japanese taste. He would rather enjoy inexpensive food at the street side with his own pocket. During my visit in Colombo, the capital of Sri Lanka, I would try local tastes. It was curry. We also have curry in Indonesia with several variations. But Sri Lanka one had so much strong taste, so I really enjoyed it for the first time. To experience the variety of Sri Lanka tastes, I stopped by at several roadside stalls, mostly with the banners of Chinese food. The cooks were Sri Lankans. The foods were really cheap, with a portion of a big dish full. It only costed about 35 cents US. But again, they all tasted curry, rather mild ones. But for me, it was still too strong and had no Chinese style at all. To avoid curry smell once in a time, my Indonesian friend suggested to cook, and we went to a grocery store to buy the mixed spices. Whatever the name of the mixed spices, they all tasted the same for us, strong curry flavor. It did not take long for me to get fed up, only 5 days. After then, I threw up once I smelled curry flavor. The only escape from curry taste was to eat at a high-class restaurant or at the only KFC in town. Eating KFC every day would not help, and every time eating at a high-class restaurant drained pocket up, even though Sri Lanka had a lower living costs. At that time, one dinner buffet in a 5-star hotel in Southeast Asia generally costed 25 to 35 US, while it costed only around 10 to 15 in Sri Lanka. But I needed to eat, right? From the above experiences, delicious is a matter of habit. Less or more taste, I mean, even though only for one element of the taste, such as sweet or salty, would be less acceptable. The same language with the same lexical meaning word, tasty or delicious, could lead to misunderstanding. I appreciate it if you would share your interesting experience about taste. And thank you for watching.